There are less than 2 weeks left until the end of the first phase of the Gaza ceasefire deal between Israel and Hamas. It has been a period of respite for Palestinians away from Israel's large-scale bombing campaign. But after 15 months of war, most Palestinians don't have a roof over their heads, and Israel is still denying entry for much-needed shelter. Mobile homes destined for Gaza are stuck on the Egyptian side of the Rafah border crossing. 60,000 are meant to be sent by March 1st. None of them have arrived so far. Neither has the equipment needed to remove rubble, to recover bodies and make way for shelter. Meanwhile, an Israeli negotiating team is heading to Egypt for talks. The Prime Minister's office has released a statement saying Benjamin Netanyahu has instructed the team to leave for Cairo in order to discuss the ongoing implementation of the first stage of the deal. It goes on to say that after Monday's Security Cabinet discussion, the negotiators will receive instructions for the continuation of the negotiations regarding the second stage. Well, there have been questions as to whether the ceasefire will hold, with Hamas accusing Israel of repeatedly violating its terms. A day ago, an Israeli drone strike killed 3 Palestinian policemen in Rafah. Yet the US envoy to the Middle East, Steve Witkoff, says he believes the deal will absolutely continue for a second stage.
I think the ceasefire is holding. I think we are in discussions about how to finish the next hostage release, and there'll be an Israeli delegation going to either Doha or Cairo. And so I think that the ceasefire is holding. There could have been a circumstance of shooting, but hopefully it's not big enough to have changed this situation on the ground. I think we're stable and things are where they are supposed to be.
Well, let's bring in our correspondent, Hani Mahmoud. He's joining us live from outside the Indonesian hospital that's in Beit Lahia in northern Gaza. Hani, tell us about the situation where you are, especially for so many families who need that proper shelter that is still being restricted.
Well, Elizabeth, on our way to the site of the Indonesian hospital, we've seen many of the families who are still out in the streets and trying desperately to set up their tents, the tents they brought with them from their enforced displacement sites in the central area and the Al-Mawasi evacuation zones in the southern part of the Strip. Very difficult situations for people. It's close to 2 weeks now since the return of people to their homes in the northern part and Gaza City, and each day poses a new challenge, a new hardship for people, not only with the basic necessity, but the fact that people are not protected, they're not safe, they don't have the necessary privacy. And here at the vicinity of the Indonesian hospital, a hospital that is a healing site turned into a frontline war zone when the Israeli military stormed the area. And as you can see, while the building is still standing, from the outlook, the facade of the building from outside did not sustain much of the damage. But when we walked inside the hospital, we pretty much found not a healthcare facility. It's more of everything destroyed inside, including the medical equipment and everything else. Here, right at the side, the right side where the bulldozer is and the tents on the ground. This is a site that used to be a burial site in the past months, as many of the people trapped inside the hospital could not bury their loved ones and relatives who died inside the hospital, either because of the bombardment or because of they could not just stay inside, they could not take the pain and the because of the diseases and the chronic health complications. They died and they were buried here. At the beginning of the ceasefire, this area was cleared from many of the bodies here, and right now where we're seeing the bulldozer here, it's just clearing the rubble from the area in order to set up tents for people. The other side of the hospital is pretty much the same scenario that we're looking at right now. A lot of people are taking advantage of the fact that now the emergency ward of the hospital has opened, but only at a basic level. Doesn't provide major healthcare services at the moment. It's more of just getting back on track, as well as try to do the official work of registering people for proper medical care and medical services at the hospital. The situations continue to be very difficult, and again, as I stated, each day poses a new challenge, a new hardship for people in Beit Lahia. This is the only hospital, and right now it's running at less than 10% capacity for the population here.
Yeah, new hardships despite that ceasefire. Hani, thank you very much for that. Hani Mahmoud, live in Beit Lahia. Well, joining us now from Gaza City is Caroline Seguin, an emergency coordinator for Doctors Without Borders. Thank you very much for your time. I understand that you've just moved up from Gaza City to the northern part of the Strip. What is your first-hand impression of the situation where you were?
Oh, it's very heartbreaking to see the level of destruction. When you arrive after the Netzarim corridor, you see only destruction in the south part of Gaza City. You have all the buildings that keep souvenir of the war, and when you go up to the north of Gaza City, everything is destroyed. It's very impressive. It's an impression of apocalypse, really. It's like you have a nuclear bomb that destroys everything.
And I mean, that indeed sounds terrible. What about the state of the healthcare system, of the hospitals, the medical infrastructure, if any?
So it's the access to health services is very, very compromised. There is around 1 million people now that is living on the north of the Netzarim corridor. Before the war, there was 2,000 hospitalization beds, and now it's less than 400. So it's really not enough. The hospital has been heavily destroyed, and as your colleague described, for example, Indonesian hospital, the building itself has been damaged, but we can still functioning. But the problem is that all the medical equipment has been destroyed one by one, deliberately by the Israeli soldier. So it's very difficult now to make the health system functioning again with a little supply that we could enter in Gaza since the last months.
And what kind of difference the supplies that have been coming in, whether it's to replace the equipment in the hospitals or all the aid that's coming in, how much of a difference is it making to the situation, not just for hospitals, but also access to drinking water, to food, to sanitation?
So we could enter really much more truck after the ceasefire. That's true. But we still have a lot of issue when it comes to specific item that we call dual item that require long validation from the Israeli. So there is, for example, generator that is very complicated to enter. There is a desalination unit for the water. There is many items for medical equipment that are still very, very complicated to enter inside Gaza.
And of course, one of the main items that hasn't been coming in that is so desperately needed are the mobile homes. Can you tell us about the living conditions for people that you've seen who so desperately need these homes?
The people are living, it's unbelievable. What I saw, I never saw in my life. The people are living under the gravel in an absolute destroyed building with it's crazy. Their living condition is really crazy, and it's very cold outside. So they move their plastic sheeting, their old tent that are still leaking. We see that there has been some distribution of plastic sheeting in the past days and weeks, which is a good news. But of course, it's not enough to live in a human way. You see, the situation now is not human. So we need to increase the shelters and to make the people living under a proper condition, which is not the case today.
And of course, none of that can happen unless the ceasefire continues. Just how important is it from a humanitarian perspective to get all of these things that are still being restricted? How important is it for this ceasefire to continue? What is at stake for the people there, given the conditions that you're describing?
The doing of the ceasefire is vital. Both parties should agree on continuing the ceasefire. People here are so exhausted; they are all traumatized. We think that the houses has been totally destroyed, but we need to understand that the people inside, they are destroyed as well. So they cannot bear another war. They cannot bear other bombing. They cannot bear other displacement. It's not possible for them. What they live in the past 16 months is unbelievable. Everybody lost members of their families. Everybody has moved many times. The living condition under the rain, under the cold, has been inhuman since the last month. So the ceasefire should absolutely continue, and the humanitarian supply should continue to increase and should be facilitated.
That is Caroline Segua from Doctors Without Borders. Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Make sure to subscribe to our channel to get the latest news from Al Jazeera.